Hello and good evening for this Thursday, March 9th, 2023. We just finished watching Star Trek Picard, Season 3, Episode 4, No Win Scenario. But we're just getting started here on Live Long and Podcast for our review. I'm Dave Mader, and we're going to break down this episode, talk about it all. I got with me tonight, I got Chris Worldmind Murphy. How you doing tonight, Chris?
How's it going?
Good to see you. We also have with us, of course, we have Adam Woodward, also known as Uncle Bob.
Uncle Bob. Well, that's I changed my name, but anyway, Bob's your uncle. Great episode. Can't wait to talk about it.
Absolutely,
Truly.
guys. This was a lot of fun. Davan said he's unable to make it, sends his regrets, but he really thought the episode was beautiful and worked well. And I gotta say, like, I enjoyed the hell out of this. I have my nitpicks. I have my little things that I'm going to talk to you guys about. But most of that I think will be sort of secondary, to the overall of what we kind of experienced here. And it seems like it was kind of like the end of a certain portion of this season, because a lot of it had been spent in this nebula and this kind of cat and mouse thing here with Vadic and the Shrike, and that seems to have come to an end. It seems like
I don't know.
Maybe not. I don't think that we're done with Amanda Plummer and everything, but I think just that particular part of the story will be moving into something else. This episode features only really the Titan, the USS Titan. Doesn't go to Raffi and Worf at all. We're just with that storyline the whole time.
For a hot second, I thought they were going to Raffi and Worf when he saw Shaw sharpening his blade, and I'm like,
yeah, me
I guess
too.
we're cutting to Worf now, and he's just like, nope, I'm just really mad. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, it was kind of a more contained episode. I really enjoyed it for a few reasons. And let's get down to it. So I know you said you liked it a lot, Adam. Chris, would you say you're
Am I a fan of this episode? You know what? For the first, I would say quarter of it, I was like, where are we going with this? This is kind of trudging. What's happening here?
Yeah.
But by the end of the episode, I was hooked, and I was on for a ride, and I was getting teary-eyed at a couple points, and I was like, this is fun. This is awesome. I like moments I was like, I was reacting quite enthusiastically to the events that unfolded in this episode.
Yeah, this is very next generationist as far as story, but cinema quality, Dave. Cinema quality. I could have been sitting at the local theater and quite enjoying that on the big screen.
Yeah,
Truth.
Yeah,
I felt like I was watching a movie. I was like, this is very movie-esque. Like, this is incredible.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think that the ending I thought actually worked really well in the edit that they put together there with the two scenes. So let's get into it, guys. Of course, this is a full spoiler warning for this episode. We are going to spoil the hell out of Season 3, Episode 4, No Win Scenario. So if you don't want to know, get out of here now. But we're assuming you've seen it and you want to hear what we have to say. Of course, we had our little previously on in this episode. The Titan is running away from the Shrike. Picard's in command, Riker's in command, and Picard has a son, and them finding each other or trying to make a connection with each other is another big important thing that have been set up leading into this episode. We know that 7 of 9 has to find the saboteur, the changeling on board, and we were reminded of is still on the ship. Heading into this episode, we saw his face get punched and things like that. And Jack Crusher's like, "There's a changeling on board," da da da. Which goes to 7-9. Of course, that when we left the Titan, there had been this whole conflict here with Riker and Picard, where basically they shot themselves in the ass with their own torpedoes after they used their portal technology, and we saw that the Titan was sinking into the gravity well to die. And that's where we kick into this episode where we left off a week ago. Starts with a 5 years ago flashback. So we're in 2396, about 3 years before the events of season 1 of Picard. So we come in here to 10 Ford, of course, in Los Angeles that Guinan runs. We see a couple. I think is that the Enterprise C that we see here, kind of teased. Like, that can't be a coincidence, guys, that we've had a Rachel Garrett and an Enterprise C reference, because I'm pretty sure that is the Ambassador class Enterprise from yesterday's Enterprise. Tell from those like struts that go up in the cells. And we know that Denise Crosby will be part of this season, so I'm really curious to see where they're going. But we see in the bar here that the Picard is, I don't know, I guess that's a shot from Star Trek Generations. Up, like I couldn't quite figure out what that image was up on the bar, but it's like a picture of him. So this is almost like, like a big, huge star, maybe a sports star or movie star. He's like, at a local haunt and just having lunch, and then
He's a living legend.
drinking white wine. Actually, that was interesting.
He's eating white fish.
He's eating white. Of course, that's what pairs with it. But so while he's, I don't know, I felt like this was a little bit like something maybe celebrities, I'm sure they do deal with when they're just out living their lives, and like the fans want to talk to them. It's all these like they're not cadets, they're like, I guess, junior officers, like they're young Starfleet officers who want to, talk to the legend. I guess they don't have that opinion like Shaw does, that these guys just blow things up and whatever. So they all want to hear the stories. A couple of interesting things that are mentioned here. They talk about that time that he was kidnapped by a Hirogen, right? I was like, a Hirogen, like a Voyager thing. And like, they're like, how did they get into the quadrant? And they're asking him all these questions. And then he talked about how Lieutenant Commander Worf had to save him. I'm like, was Worf on the Enterprise? I guess Worf was serving on the Enterprise. So there's a couple things in this dialogue. I was just like, huh? Okay, interesting.
What was that TNG episode?
Well, part of the reason that I bring that up is because in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, when that show ends, Worf's like, I'm going to go become the Federation ambassador to Kronos, right? But then a couple years later, when they made Star Trek Nemesis, because Worf is part of the Next Generation crew, they were just like, I don't know, Worf's just there. Worf's on the Enterprise, and he's at the wedding, and he's on the Enterprise. He's in Starfleet again, and whatever. So there have been some like non-canonical things where they're like, well, Worf tried to be the ambassador, but it didn't work out, and he ended up back in Starfleet. But there's things in Worf's like history that have just never really been fleshed out. So we'll see if that plays out more in this season. So just a couple things mentioned here, but back to the story, here with the kids hearing all about it, and he's talking all about the different things he's done. And
No. Can we just, first of all, I don't like to tell stories, and
I don't like to tell. Yeah, yes, you do.
Yeah. Tell the best story.
Yeah,
we like to talk about Gilgamesh. They even bring up like Darmok. They bring out the episode Dathon, I think is what he's like. Then I realized they only spoke in metaphors, and then I worked it all out with them.
Oh, he's just like, he's enjoying like finally getting some stardom again, right?
Yeah, he is enjoying it, right? And and like these young Starfleet officers like kind of, ooh, it's you. Like, tell us all about your crazy adventures, right?
We just really want to hear from the legend himself.
The legend himself. And then we come to present day where he's not so happy-go-lucky and having a great time. It's very dark and bleak, and they're watching that the ship is sinking into this gravity well. They're going to their pending doom.
As he listens to the words of hope echo in his ears, he's just like, It's like looking back at a really bad Facebook status. It's like Picard just like popped on Facebook and there's a status from 5 years ago that popped up to remind him, and he's just like in the shit of it right now.
Yeah, like, living my best life. He like checked in at Guinan's 10 Forward, Los Angeles, having whitefish, and white wine, haddock and white wine.
Part knowledge on the youngins.
Yeah, come to today, and we see that the ship is like getting hit by meteorites and other things as it's sinking down into the gravity well. That the ship is quickly dying. Like the Titan is not doing well, and Riker, who's thrown Picard off the bridge at the end of the last episode, they're struggling. Things are bleak, and they're not quite sure what to do about it. I think they tell him like, we don't have enough power to keep the shields on and keep the life support on, so we might have to just like turn the shields off. He's like, if we turn the shields off and we hit a big rock, things are going to go bad for us, and so, but there's just some hard decisions and some tough things here. And Riker, I guess his arc through these episodes has been all like, I just got to keep this crew alive. I didn't mean to bring everybody into danger here. And so he's just trying to figure out the easiest way out. But I think by the end of this, they're like, we have to take a risk here. We have to, in order to succeed, in order to get out of this situation, we have to sort of make a leap of faith. And yeah, things could go wrong and we could all die, but at least we're trying together, and we're good if we come together. That's ultimately what I think.
Did you find this scene like Yeah. Did you find the beginning of this like a little bit too bleak? Like so on Star Trek, like where like you never feel like they're gonna actually die.
Well,
Until this
yeah,
episode, you felt this is might be the end.
I knew
I
it
mean,
wasn't
we
going to
know it's
be,
not going
but
to be the end. However,
I know
it
it's not
felt
going to
that
be,
way.
but yeah, but it definitely. I think we talked about this in the last one that Frakes really, in particular, is so strong and like, and so yeah, I do feel it does feel bleak, but it doesn't feel completely hopeless. If these are we know these characters, we know that they can get out of tougher situations than this. So they just got to come together. Ultimately, is kind of what.
I know when I was watching this scene, I was just like,
Well,
okay, so it's all hope's lost. They're sinking submarine. You
Mhm.
know, what are they gonna do? And as they're just like laying it all out, it's like we're dying. We've got no energy. And all of a sudden, that big flash happens. And at first, I was like, "Oh, are they getting tractor beamed out of here?" It's like, no, it's just that gravitational well. It's just blasting energy at us again. And I completely forgot about that little plot point in the story up until that
Right.
moment. And I was like, "Oh, I think I know where they're gonna lead with this. I
I
think I can see where they're gonna."
I
Piece
thought that like
together with this."
they kind of talked about how the anomaly wasn't a regular nebula, that there was something else going on here, and so this had all been set up, but it had been little bits. It wasn't like they were
Little
hammering it
pushes, if you
over
will.
our head, like
Yeah.
they maybe done in some previous seasons, if you will. So yeah, like they're setting that up, but it's bleak. And then there's this scene here where Picard is looking out the window and Riker comes to see him. I did like this scene because it's not like Riker comes in like still mad about what happened. He's kind of like they kind of like he kind of makes peace with Picard very quickly here, and which I was not
but
against.
what I find here, yeah, he I thought the scene was great actually because Riker was acting the teacher, the counselor, and you understood sort of where Riker was going with his like why like Riker was so bleak. He had a terrible loss. He lost his son, and he didn't feel what he thought he would feel through it, and he's now in trouble with his wife. Like his relationships are falling apart, and the one place he went
including this
is
including
now.
this one he has with Picard, right?
Yep.
His best friend, the best man at his wedding, whatever, all these and them trying to find out. They both think that this is, he says, like, he's like, I think this is the end for us, my friend. This might be the end of the line for both of us. And
This scene was wonderfully acted by Frakes.
For sure.
Like, this was probably even better than what he did in the last episode, in my opinion. Like this, I was just like, wow.
Hey, Gregory.
Wow. Oh, coming in with the chamomile tea, son of Mog Jody.
Yo, we're not that far into it yet, Jody. But Jody, how did you feel about the episode?
It was good.
All right.
That's what
What about the Riker?
Stoic as always.
The Riker and Picard making up here near the beginning.
it was filler.
Filler. Oh, I thought it
Yeah.
was necessary because after
think
he's like,
it's a-
"Get
I think
your
it was
ass
a
off
very
the bridge"
necessary-
or whatever he said.
Necessary scene.
Yeah, I think there was no way they get around this. Like they have to have some kind of thing here. And he's
I
like,
felt very like they ripped the Band-Aid off of it. Like they're not waiting for this, conclusion 5 episodes from now. They're just like, whatever.
Right,
They had a
but
tiff. They're getting over it.
in all those years with like Picard and Riker, they hardly ever were at odds with each other in all of Next Generation or in the movies, right? So it's way less than I would say like Kirk and Spock or Janeway and Chakotay even. Like they were always butting heads, but these two typically don't butt heads. So when they're not on the same page, I'm like, are you guys gonna make up with each other? And they do. So and Riker's advice here, he's like, he talks about how when his son died, he's like, if I only had a few hours left, I would be like, well, which I do, like just like you, but you have the ability to go like know your son, get to know him, and try to make that connection here, and it seems to get through to Picard, that he's going to make that effort, and that's where Riker leaves him. Riker's like, I gotta go run the ship. So Picard's left, like thinking about this, and this is how the episode starts. We get our title card, episode part 4, chapter 4, whatever, no win scenario, which we're coming out with, and then we get this whole montage afterwards that's all about 7 of 9, that she's on the hunt for the changeling infiltrator. That she's looking in the quarters of this transporter chief, the one that that the changeling was initially impersonating. We see some interesting things around the quarters, including a Calto board. That's kind of like Vulcan chess. That little like pile of metal sticks there, if you will.
Part of me thought this was going to be the prop hunt part of the episode. She's going to start like poking at chairs to see if they like wobble out and move.
Well, you think,
all of a
yeah,
sudden.
because changelings, you need to do like phaser sweeps, because I think what this show is not explaining is that like changelings can be like inanimate objects just as easily as people. So it's, but we're not. They're kind of. It feels like they're pulling that back a little bit. They're making like maybe the changelings less.
And how well sealed are those closets? Not one like member of that crew is like. It's a really strange
because they
smell
mentioned that
coming
this
from
guy had been
Frank's
dead for a
quarters.
while. That
Right.
he had been replaced. So he
But
was.
they're
killed
in a
and
sterile environment.
well, they are, but
Body still
deco-
smell.
Still
decomposition.
oxygen. Yep.
yeah.
It will eventually, yes, but it would take longer in this environment.
That's what I think Seven tells Shaw or Riker both is that like he was killed way before they ever ran into Picard and Riker, right? Like this changeling infiltrator was in place in advance, and there's something bigger happening here in the story, right? So that's where they kind of leave that. And they're intercutting here with this scene here with Riker, where Riker's like, I could reinstate you, but I like you being like a little bit of a rogue agent and going off and being.
This
like,
was a bit much considering the ship is in such dire straits. Like, they didn't need to do anything with this. They didn't need the scene. She could have just gone on her way and continued the hunt.
Yeah, I agree. We didn't need.
He was
we
the only
didn't-
one doing anything anyway. Everybody else was like, let's go have drinks and head forward.
It's not that it was
That's
totally unneeded. I think it was more or less. It's like, didn't he tip her off into some way of like how to find him?
That was Shaw. Shaw did.
That was shotted.
Oh, what?
Shaw tipped off Jack Crusher, and then Jack went to 7-9.
No, I mean, didn't Riker tip off Seven of how to like find a changeling in some manner?
No, that's more Shaw too. I think.
I have to apologize if you guys hear weird noises in the background. Somebody decided to turn on the washing machine while I'm here. So
I don't
We
hear
don't hear it.
anything.
Yeah, but we see here that like almost like 7-9 becomes like internal affairs or something. Like people. She's looking at people around the ship. She's trying to figure out who the changeling is. I agree that this. I think with the fact that they're sinking to their doom, this seems like a little bit unimportant whether or not she's in good standing with Starfleet discipline or whatever. But
That's right. Yeah.
and I think that like this, I think maybe I don't know. Perhaps they
Like I said,
condensed the story, but
That's what I was saying. The first quarter of this episode, I was just like, where are they going with this? It just seems like they're not being urgent enough for the fact that they're sinking towards, which is essentially something that should crush them to the size of a pop can. Like they don't seem like it's like, well, or like it's Beverly's just like one.
But we
counting
established
down.
previous to this that it's going to take them 4 hours.
4 hours.
Yeah.
They have 4 hours left. But
They have 4 hours left, yeah.
It's
So-
not okay. No, somebody remind me. Beverly is a medical science professional. Does
Yes.
she dabble with astrophysics at all in TNG? Does she dabble with like
no.
figuring out the math of?
We don't
when,
know what
like-
she's been doing for 20 years, man.
Okay,
No.
that's fair. That's
No.
a
Yeah.
good point. Solid point.
Well, she figures out that the Nebula is pregnant or something, and this is
Yeah,
Well,
well,
I think
basically,
I think that's the link is like the pregnancy. She knows contraction. She's timing it like that. But it's a big jump, though.
It's a huge jump, like to tie her into like solving the like what we are thing. Like the whole thing's leading towards like, oh well,
yeah. You got all those
let's
smart
just
people
catch
on the
a wave,
bridge, and
yeah.
then nobody else catches that.
Yeah, that's like really the science officer with the pointy ears didn't think about this like 30 minutes ago.
Didn't even occur to her, but it occurred to
Yeah.
Beverly. She knows
Yeah.
she's a mom and she's a doctor.
She knows
and
contractions.
She knows.
Well,
contractions.
and later on, though, they did mention that, this is something that they've come across before, like this type of thing. So maybe this is something
Well,
that
they've-
Encounter
the
it
not-
next gen
not-
crew has encountered, but maybe the rest of this
They've
crew hasn't.
encountered weird stuff that's like intergalactic life to an undescribable degree, yes, but like
I did
Yeah.
like the reference back to Encounter at Farpoint, though. I thought that was kind of cool.
Well, there was they also referenced Tin Man, which is another spaceborne alien that they met
Yep.
along the way,
Gone
but
too.
they probably didn't want to pay the writer of that episode of royalty, so they left that one out. But
Well, it wouldn't have been hard it wouldn't have been hard to really animate, though. All they had to do is just go grab some pierogies from the fridge, and they would have been fine.
right.
The space pierogi.
But Jack coming off his near-death encounter with the changeling when he was left for dead, Picard comes and finds him and is like, "Why don't we go talk?" And then so that we cut away from that, and then we catch up with Shaw, who this is what Murphy was talking about the fact.
The curve.
Was this gonna be Worf? But no, it's Shaw, and he was ignoring like the doorbell, and he's like, "Don't come, don't come." All right. Come on in.
All right, I finally come over to Shaw.
This guy has stolen my heart.
I agree. Like, the last episode I was like, okay, I think I found the winning moment for me to like Shaw, and then this whole episode just solidified me from this moment up until his fucking.
Yeah, he's like,
died.
I'm gonna die within 4 hours. Like, fuck off, leave me alone. Let me have my sherry.
I love how he's like, I love what your boys are done with the ship. I love the view. It's amazing.
Yeah, the view's great.
Yeah.
And what I like about Shaw, I think that Shaw is what I think Stamets was meant to be, Adam, in Discovery. Like this really like kind of smart ass, but likable and useful and kind of like, but I don't think Stamets never really, I think, worked as well.
He walked away from that role. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen, does anybody else think that maybe, just maybe, fingers crossed, since they're gonna end Discovery next year, they're taking the year off to shoot extra footage to wrap it all up, that maybe they might shift their focus and make a Star Trek Titan show, and we get Shaw as captain and 7 and 9.
Oh, it's completely plausible. I wouldn't rule it out.
If this guy becomes like, if he lasts the rest of this series, which he may,
right?
I think he's going to be popular enough to win win everybody over and get that demand, because honestly, the first 2 episodes I didn't like him. He was a
prick. Yeah.
But
like he says,
I'm there now.
At some point, he traded charisma for being an asshole.
Yeah, I love that line.
Yeah, he's just like,
nope.
No, you're not.
So in this scene, okay, you just had a shot of 7 there. I don't know if this stood out for anybody, but was her left eye looking super kind of awkward to anybody else in this scene? Did it just kind of look like a little floaty and CG to anybody else, or was that just me?
I didn't notice that
red
at all.
light. Yeah, I think it might be the red light.
I think it might have been the red light in the. I don't know.
I didn't notice anything, but
I thought her face was kind of looking weird in this scene in motion. It doesn't.
It's
look
not
so
unheard
much
of, like with this type of lighting, though. That they screw something up, and then in post production they kind of add something again. Yeah.
If
let's just go all red.
If we could fix anything, it'd be, for me, is the lighting in this series so far.
The whole show is dark.
So dark.
Yeah. Well, there was something. There was something on the internet today where they're like, "I need like this like flashlights to watch this show because it's so dark." We have
they're in the middle of a gravity well. Of course, it's gonna be dark, and they barely have any power.
No.
I mean, that's
the
fair.
ship is
it's
dark from the
viable.
beginning.
You know that lighting's been dark across the whole show.
That's
I think Jody's just here. Anytime we have like a criticism, he's going to tell us we're wrong.
Yes. Somebody has to do Davan's job.
Stop complaining. He's where he's always coming from, I think. With Riker here making this log here to Deanna, like kind of like a goodbye message in case in the event that the Titans recover, but he's not able to kind of finish the message. He doesn't know what to say. And
this is the worst acted scene that Frakes has done in this entire show.
Why do you say that?
Oh, it's just so boring. There's no emphasis on it. There's no like dire need or anything like that. He literally is just spewing out the words. It's just.
But that's the point. I think that.
No, I don't think it is. I think it was supposed to be the point, but it wasn't.
It is the point because
find the words to say to his wife in a.
But he's not choking up. He's not doing any of that. He's just literally going da da da.
Wait, guys. He just said to Picard he has no emotion. He's lost it, right? And then at the end of the episode, when he's talking to Deanna, we'll talk about that later, but it's much more emotion felt, heartfelt.
He's finding he lost his heart, or his heart was broken by the death of his son, and it's kind of like it's rocked his whole world, you know. And
6 feet under, if you will.
Yeah, he talked about that in this episode, and
I think this scene
a guy who can act as well as I still think he could have did a better job with this scene.
I thought it was fine, but you know,
it was so flat.
I was good with it. The holodeck scene is next here with Jack and Picard.
So did everybody start this episode by going, "How come there's power for the holodeck?"
Well, yeah, I was thinking that, and then they explain it away
I
with
know,
one
explain it
line.
away. Yeah, that was
Uh,
good.
And the whole
I
time
knew they
I'm
would
watching
come
it,
up
I'm
with a
like, so are
reason
they all
why.
are they gonna sit here and then talk about a moment and be like, oh, let's do that, and then they're just gonna
When
suck
that
out the
ship
power
is
from the
going
holodeck?
down, the one thing you want is you want to be able to at least have some sort of weird fucking place to go so you can have your last orgy. Like,
Hey,
that's the key here.
listen, Jody, totally agree. They did a great job explaining it and satisfied. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And
But
then
it has its
all
own
the
independent power
passengers
cell.
on the plane just started jerking off simultaneously.
Well,
Like a
if you
mall-
remember
mall
though,
rat.
in Voyager, they couldn't tap into the power from the holodeck because it was on a different system or it wasn't compatible or something like that. So they've already kind of established this idea. They just really gave us a really good answer for it this time.
Yeah, an answer we hadn't gotten before. So
Yeah.
I was fine. I was like, you have no power, but you have power for this. But okay, fine. But then it allows these two to have like the scene where Jack says he's not a wine guy, he's a whiskey guy.
And
Sorry.
this is the biggest moment. This is the biggest moment that took me out of the episode. They're trying to tell me that Jameson whiskey has lasted this far in the future. I think not, sir.
He says cheaper the better. I'm like, what do you mean cheap? Is there more expensive and cheaper? Like, I thought it was all a non-scarcity society here in the Federation, but
Yeah,
Jesus,
but
it's
Jack
always
hasn't
lucky.
been living in the Federation. He's been
What-
paying for his whiskey.
paying
Yeah.
for with what?
I don't know.
with credits,
Sex
probably
favors, I don't
sex,
know.
Platinum.
yeah,
Yeah.
platinum.
So their conversations here, guys, like I thought
Pretty
that they
sure
were
pretty
good. I thought like two guys trying to know each other. I enjoyed both of these guys together. I think that I understand why they cast him as Jack, although I still think he's way too old. But you know, it works. They're able to work the scenes well together.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you.
Yeah. There's just Jameson.
My wife was watching with me, and she thought that he actually had some of the Picard characteristics in this scene. You know, same
Yeah.
kind of looks and thing. You know, maybe. I didn't
I
see
think-
it.
Yeah,
Thank
I think that he was probably also partly cast on his ability to sort of like have those mannerisms that come across, while not being like an impression, you know.
I just think
Uh,
it's funny another person that doesn't want to drink Chateau Picard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a lot of them
Can't
apparently.
pass it around.
Well, even Picard didn't want to drink it. He was drinking his white wine in the beginning, right? So
Yeah.
Oh yeah, in the 5 years ago scene. So we come back to we cut from the holodeck. We come back here to Shaw and Seven talking about the changeling, and she's explaining the whole thing. Yeah, that the changeling has been here for a while. That this is a bigger thing. And then Shaw's explaining changelings to her. She's like, she's never met one. She was in the Delta Quadrant for the entire Dominion War. So, so you know, she's like, he's kind of giving us this like, if you've never seen Deep Space Nine, it doesn't matter. This is how changelings work. And
Here's
that
your exposition.
they leave residue.
I hated the fact that they put a little picture of Odo in there though. That kind of
Um,
annoyed me.
You hated
Yeah.
it?
It was stupid. Like,
Where did they?
what
put a
is he
picture of
like?
Odo?
It's when he shows her the pad.
Yeah.
Picture of Odo.
Well, I
I,
mean,
just think that's
he's
so
like-
stupid.
Well, he was a Starfleet. Was he a Starfleet officer? Technically? No.
No,
I guess he
Bajoran
wasn't.
militia.
He was
Okay, well,
militia,
he was known to Starfleet, so it makes sense that he would be the poster boy of their like information when it comes to this species.
Yeah, basically like Shaw explaining that they have to regenerate, which is true, but that's kind of what we saw last episode with them when Raffi and Worf were interrogating that changeling. But that's only like once every 18 hours. At least that's how it worked for Odo. And so it seems to be happening a little bit more frequently here with the changelings we've seen so far.
Is this one of the first references of weed in Star Trek? Did they just were like pot? and,
Yeah, I
like,
noticed
pot and
that.
cannabis joke. I was
He's
just
like, no,
whoa.
but that would be awesome. Yeah,
I
no,
was
they
just
don't-
happy that pot's still around.
Yeah,
Apparently,
well,
you mean cannabis? No. I was like, wait, what? Did they just like openly do that?
I also love here with Shaw where he's explaining that the changelings can look like anybody, but they won't have the knowledge of the people that they're pretending to be. You know, he's like, he's like, you'll make a great captain someday, and I really underestimated you. Is something I would say if I was a changeling. And she's like, what is it? I got it here.
Which is something I totally would say.
If you were a changeling and not just a dick.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah.
He might be my favorite character in the last 10 years.
Oh my goodness.
He's great.
Yeah. It was working well here.
And I so hated him the first episode. Like the first episode, I'm like, this guy's a total ass. I want him to die.
Everyone hated him. I think we're supposed to hate him, and then he grows on us through these episodes.
Yeah.
And we
If
start,
they
we-
did Star Trek Shaw, I'd totally watch it.
That's what I'm saying.
don't
dude.
count it out.
The
Don't count it out. Could
Star
happen.
Trek Titan series. Shaw
This shot-
Captain.
This shot's about Beverly starting to figure out the contractions, I guess, and all this, and it's a baby.
1, 2, 3.
She knows it. Oh, it's just like Lamaze, guys. We've seen these flashes come along, but this is ultimately what saves them. Meanwhile, Seven on the hunt for the changeling. She's looking through this guy's quarters. She's looking for the pot, not the weed. And she looks in these
It would have
windows.
been better
and
if she found some pot.
she ultimately, but like
Then went,
this-
oh, not this pot.
so
She
the
went through
changeling
windows and
had
the
to
walls.
like hide his pot, I guess, or something here. Like, but it was
Well, it
like,
might not be legal in the Federation.
have a pot.
I mean, he
I-
could have stuck a plant in it and nobody would have noticed.
Nobody would know.
But then he's got to remove the plant every time he's going to go do his rest.
I guess so. But he was hiding his pot up
A lot of
in the
work.
cupboard or something, and then the residue.
It's a
was in
changeling's form of a Murphy bed.
there.
No, every time maintenance comes in, they're going to see that shadow in the light and go, I got to fix that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause it-
exactly. It's like, damn bulbs
Huh,
out again.
What's going on in that window? If I look at that window, it doesn't have it, but this one, oh, that's kind of weird.
I think what's more important is why do these things even come out?
Yeah.
Like, what purpose do they serve? Like,
Decoration?
It's decor.
There's like a billion access ports in all of Star Trek. I mean, there isn't a wall that I don't expect to pop off if you push
True,
hard
yeah.
enough.
Fair enough. Back to the strike. So in the strike scene here, we got Amanda Plummer's character, Vatic. You know, she goes to have this conversation,
oh, I love this. This is cool.
and she takes this Klingon dagger. I think it's a Klingon dagger, and cuts her own
Looks
hand
like
off.
it anyway.
I'm watching
and-
this and I'm like, it's not very like cutting through fabric's not going to be really good for the skin. That's good. And then she just goes all morphling on me. I'm like, that makes sense.
So I think this confirms that she's a changeling as well, of course.
Well,
Uh,
a changeling-
Well, I think, yeah.
but wait, though, like, is she like? I've never seen a changeling do this.
me either.
No.
Just cut pieces of them off and start like,
And then it
communicating
creates like a
through-
communications, I guess, with the Great Link or whoever, or this other faction of changelings that is trying to do something. And
Well,
I
it's
guess
quite
this is-
possible it's another faction, right? Yeah.
Dominion
Absolutely.
2.0.
Well, I think this is what Worf told us about. That this is the terrorist group. They want Jack for some reason, because he sees red flashes. I think,
I
or whatever.
think I got theories on that. We'll get to, but yeah.
We'll get to that at the end there. But
I think we're gonna have a crossover with Stranger Things.
But
Please
this changeling or whoever it is, this boss of Vatic is
Call
like
it
you're
Vecna.
you're expendable. Your ship's expendable because Vadic's like I haven't gone after them because they're sinking into the gravity well. I can't go after them, you know. And he's like,
Pursue.
pursue. You don't matter. And so Amanda
It's
Plummer's
suicide if I go, and it's suicide if you don't.
yeah.
That's a great line too.
So then she puts her hand back, and that ends the communication. And she has to get rid of the portal system, right?
Because
Like,
if they get closer to the gravity wells, I think there's something that would happen with those things, and they would be dead for sure. So
Right.
that's probably why she detached them. But it happened so fast. I'm really hoping you got the screenshot of what it
Oh,
was.
the
that,
Daystrom Institute. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
was it Daystrom Institute? Okay, I was like,
Yeah.
what is?
So I
that?
guess
What
this
is
is what they
Tony Stark
stole?
shit?
Is this what they stole?
That's what
When
they
they-
stole. Yeah.
Okay, to steal something bigger. This is what it was. Yeah, it was a very quick one there. And then so Vatic and the Shrike, they head into the nebula to go get them. Back to 5 years ago, with Picard. He doesn't like to tell stories, but you know, if he has
look at his face, Dave. He's like
But
into
but
it.
let me tell you stories, kids.
Let me get
Listen,
on
my fish and
stage and I
chips
will
are
tell
gonna
you
get
anything.
cold.
Yeah, it's like,
Oh, yeah.
forget the fish and chips. You know, we're gonna talk about. Look at that audience. They're all smiling.
right. And I like how every time he's like, "Can I get back to my lunch?" And they're like, "No,
No.
You know,
Oh,
But-
you can kind of see Jack
And this
in the
is-
background there.
And this is just before season 1 because they have the same outfits on.
yeah. So they're wearing that. Like I liked that was good. I was like solid on the uniform. Notice they're like we have to get some use out of these uniforms that we only used for one season.
Yeah.
With like the different necklines and whatever before they changed it up a little bit. So they're going into it and they're like, oh, but tell us about is it the family question? Like, do you have family, or did you ever have family?
No, that comes after.
No,
That
that
comes
was
after.
later.
So we haven't got to that
She
point.
was asking about Jack, the moment Jack Crusher died.
Oh, she
basically.
brings up
She's
Jack
like,
Crusher.
Tell me about your most horrific moment where your best friend died. Come on, I really want to hear the
Tell
story.
me that old ditty. Tell me that old
Tell
story.
me that old ditty.
And
Let me
after
bring
that,
up
can you tell me
wound.
Tashi R2 when she died? Was it sad?
It's like,
You know?
come on, Grandpa. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, oh,
Well,
I'll tell
Picard
you
was
all
still
of-
on the ship when Tasha died.
It's like,
I
oh,
know. I
Jack.
just can we just talk about all the trauma and all the friends you've lost? You know, it's
Remember Professor Galen?
yeah, right.
He's dead now, right?
That time you mind melded with like Ambassador Sarek.
Yeah, was that fun? So anyway, present day, we see that the crew starts coming into the holodeck with Jack and Picard because they're scared and they need somewhere to.
Well, they
drink.
thought this was where the orgy was going to be.
Yeah, they're like, we thought that the end of the world orgy was going to be taking place.
Is this the wrong holodeck?
Did we get the wrong
No,
holiday?
They
again?
decided to end up in Patty's Pubs, which is just close enough.
Yeah. So, and they I don't know. I'm trying to
really
remember all
going
this.
for that Jameson placement, though, eh?
Oh yeah,
Like,
cheaper the better.
That label just follows the camera.
As somebody who's gotten alcohol poison from drinking Jameson whiskey, my stomach is curling.
Yeah, I did that with gin once, and I never touched it again. So it's just like sometimes we
Alcohol poisoning.
Yeah,
It's a long story.
Can't say I've had that before, but
yeah, but like I was just like I will never drink gin again, and I never did. So it was So they're all coming in, and like I don't know. I'm trying to remember all the guys. Help me out with the substance of this like Jack and Picard conversation at this part of the episode.
Honestly, I
so
don't even
basically, this is the point where they kind of start trading tales about, like, I found it weird that my mother named me after her ex-husband,
yes.
and he starts telling the
he's
story.
like,
of
yeah, I
how
would have too. or
I would have
something like
too,
that.
though. So
Yeah.
the bonds started being, the
brought
connection was
together,
trying
and
to
then
be,
he starts telling the story about how they had a grueling 10-hour journey of basically just like putting their ship back to Earth because they were ending up blind. With one of the lines being like, he's like, so we got invited to like this place. He's like, to have sex, right? He's like, we were invited.
We were invited. It was all good.
I think this is the only time that Captain Picard's dropped the F-bomb, too. He's
Yes.
One of the only I did pull it. We'll get to that part.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then we see that 7-9 walking around with a changeling bucket that looks identical to the one Odo had on Deep Space Nine, by the way, or almost identical. And then the changeling's like, hey, that's my bucket.
That's my great way to get caught.
That's a good get caught. And he shoots this other security officer.
but
in the back.
why? He didn't have to do that.
No.
Well, he
something to do.
Yeah, he did, because he's a changeling spy operative. And the moment he starts attacking her, she's going to be like, what are you doing? And then
we
he
are
basically
doing
turns
that.
his back to her. So he's like, elimination. Oh, no, I'm not eliminating. She's getting me. Plot armor.
He should have killed her because he's like shoots her right, like it looks like it's hit her in the chest, but somehow I think it hits her in the bucket instead.
No, he hits her. He aims right for the KFC bucket in her arm.
Yeah, the bucket of chicken.
He's like, you got my chicken, woman.
She managed to get him back here. And this guy who played the changeling, the second changeling, I guess he was
evil.
good. He just I like the looks he does here.
Yeah, he's
and
got
then
that
he like
stink eye thing going.
he does like that. He rushes at her. She shoots him again, and then he like turns into goo, and like goes into
Now,
like the.
what happened to Federation ships the minute you shoot a phaser, fucking alarms go off and stuff like that? That doesn't seem to happen in any of these shows anymore.
They're already in red alert, so what
So?
more alarms?
Give me
are
another
going
one.
off?
Should be more alarms. Yeah,
There
Red
should be more
alarm.
alarms.
I need more alarms blaring. It's like we're
That's right.
falling into a gravity pit. Who gives a shit about onboard fire?
Well, like
right
yeah,
now?
and when she calls the doctor, yeah, she's like, some lady just got shot in the back. She's dead. Don't worry about it, but you better come get her.
There's a big rush, though.
Yeah, what's the rush? You guys are dying at this point. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
who cares if the body's sitting there in the fucking hallway?
yeah. Can you
I think
come
what
get her?
really stood out for me of the scene is like, how is the goo just fitting into the machine walls and like the computer's all like contamination? I should block this or whatever. They're
Well,
not-
like the way that they're showing the changeling goo now, it's way grosser than it's ever looked. But it's like this skin and blood and
meat
kind of thing.
slurpee.
It's like it's like a human Slurpee. It's like versus like on the way,
Slurry.
Deep Space Nine, it looked like this kind of like I don't know gelatinous kind of space-like.
Wow, that was the
thing
CG at the time, I think.
at the time.
The remnant in the pot looked closer to the DS9
Yes,
stuff
it did,
than they
yeah.
do
Yeah, I did see
with
that.
like the live changeling.
Anybody
action,
else
which-
disappointed when you saw the doctor and you're like, oh, she's still alive?
This one?
That
Yeah,
one?
this Trill doctor. I just want her to die.
Why? That's
'Cause
so
she's a bitch.
unnecessary.
She was a bitch.
Because she had one scene
I don't
where
need her
she
to
disagreed
die.
with Beverly,
she
and you're
should
just
be
like,
dead.
she should be gone.
Why did
I
the
don't need
changeling
her.
kill her?
Yeah. No, I'm okay with it.
But
okay,
then they reinstated Dr. Crusher, because they
Thi-
needed a medical officer.
this is I think this is actually the scene where Jack and Picard talk about Jack, the older Jack Crusher, and him in the shuttle. Where he's like, we were invited by the ladies.
Yeah, he's talking about getting laid.
Yeah,
Well, he says that.
10 fucking grueling hours.
10 effing grueling
Fucking
hours.
grueling hours.
You can say fucking,
That
Dave.
was-
We've already said it.
That was one of my
Right.
favorite lines.
Yeah, but okay. The other thing I never realized, he says that him and Jack were at the academy together, but I always thought that he was a bit older than Jack. So that was a bit.
Well, the person that we saw in the holodeck in Next Gen definitely was younger than Picard, but
But that's
I
at
don't
the
But that
time.
was when he died. That's when he
Yeah,
died.
Yeah,
that's
this
when
is
he
this
died,
is what
yeah.
he looked like at the
oh,
time.
there you go. Yeah, that's him.
But I guess like we're talking that was 20 years before Next Generation, right?
I mean, look at
Yes,
the
So,
Dude, I gotta say, the guy that they got playing Jack Crusher now actually kind of looks somewhat similar to this Jack Crusher from TNG.
yeah,
Just,
he
like,
was
not
only in this
much.
one
He's got
scene,
the
and then like
jawline.
Will Wheaton basically cried after. He was like, "Oh, my dad," and all that, right? But yeah, maybe a little
Yeah,
bit.
but there's no DNA transfer here, guys.
No. He's not his father. So
Does Will know that this guy exists at this point? We don't know.
Great question.
Um,
You might hope so, because he seemingly seems like he's in super secret Starfleet CIA.
I don't think
Black
that's
Ops
from this show.
More secret than Sector 31. Yeah, he's off
Yeah.
fighting zombies in this section.
Are we doing Walking Dead now?
no.
We
Anyway.
were invited.
So
They were just off the rails at this point.
Well, it was like episode 2 of Walking Dead.
for
There's a
like
picture.
half a second, guys, could you? Are you a little shiny thing? Like,
Squirrel. We're good.
Squirrel, ADHD.
can we get back on track?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, all right. And so, yeah, while they're talking about the whole
Sean
Jack
makes
Crusher
his
story,
grad
this is where Shaw comes up,
Ooh,
and
this is
he's
a tough
like,
scene.
like,
Well,
oh,
I'm
your
just,
mom-
I'm just glad we figured out why they were mentioning that ship in the end credits, because
The
I pointed that out in
Constance?
the first, the Constance. Yeah, I'm like, oh, they died in Wolf 359. What the hell does that have to do with this show? Other than
Right.
obviously
We met
Picard, but-
before, Picard. Do you
yeah,
remember?
I was like, oh, so they kind of like this is, it's okay, but I get that thousands of people would have all died and or survived Wolf 359, and he's one of them, just like Cisco was. But I felt like it was a little bit of a repeat of what they'd already done with Cisco and Picard in the first episode of Deep Space Nine.
This was done better though.
Everybody's mad at that. Everybody's mad at Picard.
Everyone like he's like, yeah, you're
They should have called this show "Everybody Hates Picard."
maybe. Yeah, he's like, hey, you know about your dad? Yeah, he was like a big Borg guy for about a hot minute. They was so bad they gave him a name. But he goes
was
on
the
to
most
tell
dangerous Borg. They called him Locutus of Borg.
he's the only Borg
They
who
gave
got a
him
name. They gave him a name. I don't know. I don't know if you know that, Shaw. That he's the only one who was ever given a name. But he's.
I mean,
he's-
for real. Okay, hang on. It's not the only one that was given a name. He literally has a commanding officer that was given a name.
Well, that's a designation, 7 of 9. But
Yeah,
but
how-
like
yeah.
But we saw that when the Borg took Picard and made him into Locutus, that this is, I always got the impression that this was something they maybe did sometimes. They're like, well, we'll take somebody from the species and we'll make them the representative. That's what they say in Best of Both Worlds, is he's going to be help make the transition as we assimilate your culture, right? So that he was kind of chosen for that purpose. But yeah, Shaw tells this whole story about how at the time, during the events of Wolf 359, he was like an engineer, a grease monkey on the USS Constance, and then the ship was blowing up and dying, and he got to an escape pod, but there was 10 seats, but there was a lot of people, I guess, and he got to be one of the lucky. Yeah, so he's basically got like this survivor's guilt, you know.
See, again, like this took
Seems
that
so
episode from the first one when we first met him, and like, you know, has he seen any battle combat? Has he seen any action? And now, yes, he has. Now he's got some definite survival goal.
He was
guilt, as
an
you said.
outline in the first 2 episodes. This was the scene that fully colored his character, and I
Yes.
was like, I'm behind this guy.
Yeah.
I wanna
And we
see
know
this
he's
guy
like a little
command the ship.
sedated because he said it when he came in the room. But I don't give a shit. I'm going to die anyway.
He's like, yeah, your mom's pretty liberal with those pain meds. They're just gonna tell you.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
I'm just some dipshit from Chicago.
Just a dipshit from Chicago.
Why me?
Yeah. Jack's just like, can you get a hold of yourself, please? You know, but he's also like, I'm sorry. You lost all
Nah,
your
I think that's more Jameson Rotgut.
Yeah, I know that look.
See that look right
look
there?
too.
He's like,
Yeah.
am I gonna barf right now?
Yeah, but Picard just kind of, you know, he was like, yeah, this is what you
I like how he's
you
giving him
agree."
the middle finger right there, though. I think that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
You know,
He's like,
There was
fuck
a
you,
moment-
Picard.
there was a moment I was just watching TNG, and it was like the second or third episode in season 3 where they have to like deal with trying to like recolonize a whole group of people from a planet, and this like one alien's like, we've got the laws or whatever, and they keep hanging up on Picard the
Shellyak.
whole episode.
The Shellyak, yeah.
They keep hanging up on Picard the whole episodes, and the one moment he hangs up on them and they call back, and they're just like, we're being hailed, and he just like walks over to like the Enterprise side, and he just like dusts it, but he dusts it with his middle finger, and I laugh so hard because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, he's just giving his sly finger there.
Yeah, the commission plaque, right?
I forgot to mention it earlier, but I like when Shaw entered the scene here.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt family time.
I didn't mean to interrupt family time. It's just very,
I like how he's got kind of slurred words too.
I didn't mean to interrupt your family.
Like
time.
he's a little out of it. Yeah.
Which, yeah, but it kind of, so a lot makes sense why he's got this issue with 7 of 9, why he has this thing with Picard. It's not, it's like, it's all rational, and it makes sense. It makes more sense than Beverly not telling Picard about the sun, honestly. So it's, I'm good with it. Picard just leaves, and Jack kind of chases after him. And then I like how Shaw's like kind of in the holodeck here. Like, his whole crew is like, "You are a dick," you know. They're just like,
Forgive me.
like,
At some
well-
point, I chased Charisma
So-
for being an asshole.
yeah.
There's a scene that shows it. I don't know if we've already gone by it or not, but there's a scene that shows Guinan in the back wall with Picard in a picture. But the
Mm,
picture
like
is
a-
from it's from Generations, and it's when they're in the Nexus, which I'm like, oh, that's such a stupid picture to have there because
Well, I was
like,
wondering. I knew that picture was from Generations, but I couldn't tell.
yeah, it's from when they're in the Nexus, and it's like, why would they? How could she have a picture of that? That was an echo of her.
Maybe that was like his other wish when he left the Nexus. I want to go to the exact moment to stop Sorn, and I want a picture
I want a picture that I can take with me later.
With Guinan.
yeah,
with you,
Guinan.
Guinan, who are, you're not the real Guinan. You're the echo left in the Nexus, but that's beside the
I thought
point.
it was a painting. I didn't realize it was a picture.
No,
It
it's an
looked like-
actual picture. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so we got to play the clip just because that's where we were here.
At some point, asshole became a substitute for charm.
I like it.
Yeah. All right. So Jack kind of chases him down.
See, they
Picard,
got lights.
It's so dark. Come on.
Oh, that's
Jody,
fine.
it's so dark.
I'm just kidding you.
You got
No,
you got to
it is
brighten your screen to watch this show.
They wear
You know, I
and they're
literally
wearing
have to
dark
wait until
clothes
the
too. all
daylight's
this
gone to
time.
watch this show. I was like, okay, it's night now. I can watch Picard.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
no,
Gotta
don't
shut all
watch
the
it today.
blinds.
You won't be able to see what's going on. Too much glare. But this is where Beverly shows up and kind of like talks about the contractions, gives us all the Deus Ex Machina of things and how like what they're going to need to do. So they kind of
We're next to a galactic space baby, and it's gonna pop any minute.
yeah. So they bring this plan to Riker. who's like, we're gonna ride this wave out of here, and he's just like, are you kidding me? Like, this is like this plan
This
is
is insane. We haven't done 20 years of this. What are you talking about?
He's like, I've tried nothing and I'm all out of ideas, but this is too nuts. Like, you know,
Yeah, this is just silly.
We're
right?
gonna die.
We're gonna
anyway.
wait to
We
be
can't do
rescued.
this.
Yeah. Protocol says we have to be rescued, and Picard's like, we're not getting rescued. Like, are you?
Yeah, who's
Out
coming?
of
Who's
all
coming into the
times
gravity
they're
well?
Stating protocol. It's like Riker, you're smarter than this. You're really gonna start relying on protocol all of a sudden. You know nobody's coming.
Yeah, you're in the middle of a like the only one's coming is maybe Vadic, and she's not coming to save you. So, like that's your bet. That would be your best bet is to try to get mercy. If
Technically,
you're not
she
gonna,
is coming to save him because she was told she had to.
yeah, even if it meant she had to
Pursue.
die. Pursue. You have to pursue because they need Jack Crusher because whatever. So yeah, Riker is a little bit of a hard sell here, but they all kind of come together. I really like Beverly's speech that she ends up giving about, well, like almost like this is like destiny, that we need to come together here.
Look where we are. Here, all of us in this moment. So let's do what we spent our entire lives learning to be great at.
Good speech. Good, some good lines they gave here to Beverly.
This was a turning point for me in this episode. I was like, okay, this is cool. I'm into this. I like it. I like the whole trust speech. We trust each other. We're not going to get through this if we don't. Like,
Yeah, which he's like, Deanna would say it's about trust, because he kind of looks down here at the message from Deanna, you know, that he was starting to record and didn't finish, and it's almost like he has a bit of a, well, yeah, I kind of skipped ahead here, but yeah, this is where Beverly kind of puts it to Riker and says that speech, and that's where he's like, you know, you're right, and I need to come around here and take this leap of faith and try something, take this risk. And I guess it's almost like they're getting used to working together again, you know, a little bit. So the band's coming back together, at least these particular three, and Jack's along for the ride too. Why not? He's like our new Wesley, I guess. So
hanging out in the shadows.
yeah. Can you see him?
Barely.
Where is he?
He's so
Oh
cool.
yeah, there he is in the right hand.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
See, Jody? See?
Like, this is
I
pretty
didn't even know he was there.
Exactly. You
So
can
we
hide in a corner in this show, man.
So Riker gives the speech over the comm. This is your acting captain speaking. You know, we're gonna
Who
basically
brought the
ride
lighting there?
Well, this is
That's
one.
right.
This is one of the those moments.
like.
This is when they get like the flash.
At this point, I'm just pointing it out for Adam.
This is just like, this was like the one shot I got with any light in it, but this only lasts for like a frame, and then it goes away. But I got it in there. And he's just like, listen, we're gonna
Wow,
try
you
to
could
get.
actually see what Riker's uniform looked like in that shot. This whole time, it's hard.
Oh,
to
hold
tell.
on,
Like, I
he's
didn't even
got
realize
red
it was a
on?
gold
I didn't even know
stripe.
it had red on it before.
It's like suede, guys. Like,
Yes. It's back.
pretty
Yeah, I
cool.
like it.
Yeah. Like, oh, look at all that texture that you can see when there's actually some lighting on the uniform there, but you don't see that most of the time. Then this is when he's giving the speech like, we're gonna ride the wave, we might die, but we're gonna have to come together. I've been in worse jams than this. Gives a pretty good speech. I liked it. And then Shaw.
Okay, just up to this point, I was kind of like piecing together where they were gonna go with this story, where they're like, okay, we gotta ride the wave. In my mind, I'm like, so what are they gonna do? Are they gonna just like open up their shields and deflectors, put it all in the front, make it like some sort of sail and catch energy from the wave and push themselves that way? Like, this is what I was concocting in my mind. But then when they were like, no, we gotta like open up the nacelles and charge them like batteries, and I'm like, okay, that makes way more sense.
Well, they need power. They still have to solve their power issue, so I get that part. But then I think they were like, there's also this concussive blast that's gonna move us away or something. I don't know.
Well, yeah, they're like, you know,
I
we
think
gotta
the blast
fix
is
this.
going
They
to
went
move
to
them
Shaw.
out, and I think the whole point of opening the nacelles was to get enough power to warp.
Yeah,
But I like how like they go to see Shaw, and I love Picard here.
I need your help, despite the fact that you are indeed a dipshit from Chicago.
Yeah, I did like that.
Good
Best
moment.
line from Star Trek ever now.
You are, he's like, yeah, you're right. I am a dipshit from Chicago.
They've used dipshit a couple times. They've had Picard swear like this thing's just full of it.
Like Shaw is a very
what?
different. Shaw's a
Awesome.
very different captain. I get that Shaw was really hurt bad and he gave command to Riker, but it's hard to imagine another like one of like our hero captains from the other shows like staying in his quarters while like somebody else is in command of the ship in this kind of a situation. But
Boys, you really wrecked my ship. I like the view you gave me. Like,
yeah, but he's okay. So they have to like almost like go recruit him, which is interesting. And so they talk about the cells that they have to take the
Well,
covers
it's
off
because
the
the
cells.
retrofit still has old technology.
Okay, here's my other
Oh, here we go.
What the
I
hell
knew
is
this was going to be a problem.
What do you mean retrofit? Like what is going on? Like, okay, this is where
New coat
have
of paint
issues.
and some stuff on top of it.
so we're led to believe this is the same ship.
They put a body kit on the ship. That's what they did.
a body kit.
Basically.
no engineer would know except him how to open these cells.
That's
that's-
what- that's what we're led to
They
believe.
said it's a complicated process, and they need.
It looks like he just
somebody
broke a
with-
cable.
It looks like he cut into this thing.
Yes,
and,
but he
uh,
knew which cable to break, Adam.
Yeah,
Fine,
you know,
fine.
he knew the red
Jesus.
cable. He had to cut the red wire, and only he had the ability to do that because he's an old grease monkey.
I do
Well,
like how his
He's an old dipshit from Chicago.
go back, Dave. There, what to Picard. You see how his name badge looks like it's glowing? There it is. I love that scene.
Oh yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yes, guys. No, we gotta talk about.
No,
this.
they accidentally found a light source on there, and it shined on his badge. That's all that was.
Like they don't seem like these guys who are running the Star Trek. They don't seem to understand how ships work. They don't like and how the registry numbers work. And like if this is the same ship, if we're led to believe this is the same Titan that Riker was in command of, that we see in like Star Trek Lower Decks and whatever, but it has a completely different. It's not a body kit. You think it's a completely different configuration. Like and it has a new registry number. It has an A at the end. So that says to me this is a brand new ship.
It's
But-
not the
but-
same ship that Riker was on. No,
But then they say that these nacelles
but this
are
is
20
the
years
second
old.
reiteration of this ship with that registry.
That's what I thought too. But then why does Riker, when he even sees it, says "Hello, beautiful"? Why would he say "Hello, beautiful"? He doesn't even know this ship.
because I think he was on the old Titan and on this one until he said no anymore.
Well, when was this ship even built? Like, I'm confused by these.
Well,
things.
the original
Maybe it was
version
built
was
20
probably
years ago.
built.
So what was
a
the
while
ship
ago.
in the last season's last episode? It was a Titan, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
But which letter?
A, the Titan A,
It was the A. Okay.
and it's still we're led to believe this is the
but it
Titan
didn't have
A.
the same registry number, did it?
Yeah, 80 something or other. You know, it starts with an 8.
809 something. Yeah.
Yeah, it has the so like I don't know.
I'm gonna look it up.
Because when they did this in Discovery, and then they gave Discovery like a retrograde in the 32nd century, they added an A to the Discovery, and I was just like, well, it's not really.
Well, that's what the letters are supposed to be, right? Like they're supposed to be revisions of the ship, but
they're supposed to be the next generation of the ship. So like the Enterprise A is not the same as the original Enterprise, or the Enterprise B is not the same as the original Enterprise. I'm also bringing this up because when they were talking about the Stargazer last season, they're like, well, because Terry Metalis or somebody was giving an interview, and they're like, well, I think a little bit of like a Picard Stargazer is in this Stargazer. I'm like, how? Picard's old Stargazer was destroyed. Like it doesn't exist anymore. You couldn't put pieces into it. Like it's like they just don't seem to get it. They don't seem to get these things. But anyway, that's my
They could have
nitpick.
schematics. Okay, they could have schematics from previous ships, and they're like, well, to give it homage, they could add those schematics into these.
No,
new
they're just not
designs.
paying enough attention. They need
Fair.
more-
I mean,
okay. So the
I don't know.
original,
There's already Metalis
the
Prime
original
4 or
Titan
something.
without the A
yeah,
is a Luna class, and that
Yeah.
was the one that
Riker had.
Riker took over
right.
just after the Enterprise E.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so we got that down.
But what happened to that ship?
We
You see in the conference room, you see the 3 ships. You see the Titan
Yeah.
that I guess Savick commanded, right?
Okay,
These-
so that ship was succeeded by the Titan A vessel, which was seen first in Picard Disengage.
In Disengage. Yeah, I just like.
Okay.
What am I trying to say here? That it's.
Oh no,
isn't this-
I get what you're trying to say.
Is
I
it the
just-
same ship or isn't it? Was it rebuilt or wasn't it? What is Riker's connection to this ship or not?
Okay, so the A is the third Starfleet vessel to bear the name Titan. and the second to bear the 80102 registry.
That's what Memory Alpha's telling you?
Yes.
Because that's what would make sense, and that's what the fans have been thinking. The fans who pay attention to this stuff, but
the Titan A was commanded by Liam Shaw. So this is not the same. Well,
it's not the same.
It's
ship,
not
but,
the same ship.
But sometimes in the dialogue, the way they say it, it almost makes it feel like it's the same ship. When he's talking about the nacelles being like these old nacelles, that I'm like, well, if this is
I guess maybe what he's just trying to say is like it's a lot like it. I guess maybe is what he's trying to say, but
yeah, whatever. So that's my weird little thing here.
Yeah, because 2401, 2401 is when this ship exists. Which
That's my other nitpick. If it's 2401, and we're told that Jack in this episode is 23 or 24.
Yes,
right.
I caught that too.
No, he can't be that old.
He can't be that old. Yeah.
There's my calculator.
So Shaw has
is this a kick-ass podcast? Is this a kick-ass podcast? Hold on.
I was gonna say, that's
guys, are we talking kick-ass too?
Background.
All right. So 2401 minus 23 is 2378. So that means that Jack would be born before Star Trek Nemesis, if that's true.
Yes.
Which wouldn't be the case, I don't think.
But Memory Alpha does have it as right now. This is 2401.
Yeah. But maybe it's not 2401. I don't know what get your years straight. Figure out what's going on with the ships. That's all I'm saying. How old?
Find some light bulbs.
Find some light bulbs, and we'll be all right. But these are our minor things. Guys, we kind of glossed over this whole moment where Riker kind of puts Picard in command. So he went off from kicking him off the bridge last episode to he's like, why don't you take the center chair and I'll be your
well, he just is controlling it for the asteroid run, right? Like,
yeah, he's like, you know how to get through asteroids, so this will work.
Nobody knows how to sail blind better than you.
No one knows how to fly blind better than you, Picard. So
there's no other pilots on the ship.
They missed a total possible Easter egg in this that they could have easily did, where they could have had him, maneuvering through, and as he's doing it, he's singing that song that Data was singing while he was chasing him.
A British star is
or not Nemesis, but
yeah.
British star.
Insurrection.
That's it.
Yeah.
I know I have it here somewhere.
The pedo
Gilbert
one.
and Sullivan.
Yeah. Pedo one.
A British tar is a soaring soul, as free as a mountain bird. His energetic fist should be ready to resist.
That would have been amazing if he did that.
Real word, sing, Wolf, sing.
Sing, Wolf, sing.
Sing, Wolf, sing.
Yeah, so he does the whole engage thing. Finally, we get Picard sitting in a chair on a bridge saying engage. Took us 3 seasons, but here we go.
We finally got her.
We finally got her.
It's
worth it.
Seasons, yep.
Yeah. He kind of says it on like the La Sirena at the end of season 1, but he's standing and he's just like, let's engage. And then I guess they didn't ever went anywhere together. So we see the ship going through here. We got Shaw and Seven trying to get the nacelles open in time, which apparently
I like this scene. I thought this was cool.
Yeah, they had a little conversation where Seven's just like, she's like, you know what? It would be a really bad time right now if you were a changeling that wanted to sabotage a ship. This would be a very opportune moment to sabotage the ship. And Shaw's like, yeah, it certainly would. And she's like, yeah, it certainly would. I better go let somebody know that we're here doing this very dangerous thing and walk away.
Right. Yeah, sure. Seven leaves, and then we got Crash LaForge, but it's not, of course. It's the changeling, looking very sinister as LaForge.
Crash LaFoe.
And you can see like Liam Shaw here. He's very like, hey, Ensign. He knows it's not her, but he's trying not to like let on.
That's why he like immediately put the pen in like stab motion.
Yeah. Right. But Seven gets the jump on her here, or him, or it. There's the whole conversation here. What do you mean? She's like, what's my name? Commander Hansen. Nope. And just shoots her dead.
She calls me Seven.
She calls me Commander.
Out of respect.
She calls me.
I like how she says that though. Out of respect.
Respect.
And Shaw's just like, respect. What's that?
Yeah. Shaw's just like, cool. Okay, back to work.
Yeah, good for you. Yeah, you're fantastic. By the way, still the captain. Just so you know.
Yeah. Just so you know. Yeah. And then we come back. Well, just so we know she's not dead. We see her back on the
possible spin-off, just so you know.
Yeah, could be. So the Shaw's do. I like how they set it too up that Shaw's background was as an engineer, and like so they need him to do this. We don't even know who the chief engineer of the ship is, but it doesn't really matter. You get these things open, and they're coming out here at this boulder, and oh yeah, he's like, Jack, let's do some father son stuff here. Why don't you come over and you watch for the asteroids? You know, this would be a good
Get
role
the
for
jib,
you.
boy. We're gonna set sail.
Why don't you come over? You look at that screen, Jack. And you tell
In
me.
reality,
This is what
Picard
I
doesn't
find
have
funny.
his glasses.
Yeah.
So aside from LaForge, you got nobody who's actually crew members running the ship.
Well, there's got that
They're all
Bajoran
in 10
guy.
forward having an orgy.
Yeah, but most of this crew doesn't. Yeah, that doesn't seem to know what they're doing. You know, it feels like. You got that Vulcan lady at science. You got that other alien at ops. So there's a few.
They
but-
presumably have somebody going to the storage areas to figure out where all the light bulbs are, so they can change
Yeah.
them later.
Are we ever gonna get light bulbs again? Nope.
Nope, no
So
light
dark.
bulbs for us.
I get it's supposed to be. It gets even darker soon, guys. Just wait when they have to like cut power. Yeah, and this is where they have this moment where they're gonna go, and Jack's like, "Trust me, I can see this asteroid," and because they're about to go. And
Wait 4 more seconds.
wait
Trust
4
me.
more seconds. Just trust me. You gotta trust me, Dad. Like, okay, I'll trust you, son. Okay, ready? And then there's kind of like
This is the
this
version
moment,
of playing Space Catch.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
and they get going on there, and it works. Something.
So they've killed life support. It must be getting pretty cold in there pretty quick. Imagine that.
And I like how they all have to like take a breath afterwards, too.
I know. Like, thank
I was
God.
like, I think you would still have some air. In
I
the
mean,
cabin.
come on. Listen, I would say if they turn life support off, there's enough air inside a giant ship like that they could probably last a few
They'll
hours.
be fine for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
like
just
the,
the
the,
heat.
the method's sound.
If your
I
your
mean-
car goes into a bottom of a fucking lake, you still have some time to breathe.
Yeah, and if your car is stuck in the middle of like a winter frozen, if you shut the engine off, it's not like you're gonna get cold right away. You got at least an hour before.
I
it
kind of
gets
wondered
cold.
about the environmental suits. I'm like, wouldn't the environmental suits maybe give you a little bit longer?
I don't
if
think
not.
they have that many of them though.
Maybe not.
It's not minus 500 degrees either outside there. You know,
No. Well, I don't know
we
how
hear
cold
it
it is.
anyway.
You thought the show was
Maybe
dark before,
inside the
guys.
nebula womb, it's really warm.
When they turn off all the lights.
Ah, yes, it's a warm
This is what it looks like when they turn off all lights. And
When
you
you're
I wanna
swimming
know
through
who's gonna clean
galactic
the Titan
embryonic
after this.
fluid. You know, you
Yeah.
don't got to worry about the cold so much.
Yeah, there's kind of like they're just all alone in the dark here.
Clone Army 66 says, "I miss the carpeted and well lit bridge." I think.
Yeah.
Same.
I miss
think-
that Marriott Convention Center. Where is it?
yeah, I miss that hotel check-in.
And there's kind of this moment here where they're kind of waiting to see if they're just going to die here, suffocate in the dark or not. But then it happens, boom, and the light, the wave hits them and doesn't kill them, and they're able to.
I
ride
gotta
that out.
okay. I gotta. I wanted to see it, but I also like the fact that they just never showed the center of the nebula. They never brought it on screen. You never really saw what it was. They didn't try and make up any image. They're just like flashes of light. We're hitting with energy. Okay, we're gonna catch a wave and get the fuck out of here before it explodes, whatever the hell it is down there. You know, they don't show it. You just kind of like play with it in your brain to a point where you get the ultimate reveal at the end when it does pop off.
Yeah, like it's. We see like the nacelles charging here. I was like, I don't know, just get the hell out of here, guys. I just want them to escape. So I was like, it's working. They're escaping. Because I like, you know, I guess I'm eager for like this to move on and for them to get together with Jody and Worf and the rest that they're gonna Indiana who they're gonna catch up with later in the season. Yeah, and so they're riding this wave and like it's coming along.
I do like the scene where they all got pushed back in their chairs. You know.
Oh yeah, that was back here. And Picard was like, whoa!
Beverly can stand it though. She just.
I
kinda
like,
goes
I
around
like
on
the new
there, so-
Riker maneuver, which is coming up.
Oh, is that coming up?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they
Oh,
got that
yeah,
going.
yeah.
Right, and then they're riding the wave. They're getting out. They're starting to smile. They're starting to feel better about things. And then who do we see? It's Vatic coming up on them. You know, they're like, oh, not her. What species is this? Does anyone know what species this ops officer
Don't
is?
know.
No idea,
couldn't
but I'm
stop
interested.
looking
If
at
anyone
her
knows in the
forehead, though.
comments, please let me know. I'm curious.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
think anybody knows.
Yeah, and then Amanda Plummer's like, "I'm here to get you." Ha ha ha.
This was her Joker moment. She's like, "You're right where I
any
thought you'd
one
be.
of
Come
you
on, hit me.
right where I
Hit
needed
me.
it.
Come on."
Motherfuckers.
Yeah, and this is where Riker does his.
motherfucking one of you.
Yeah.
Oh no, different
yeah.
movie. Sorry.
I'm going to execute every one of you. But yeah, we see this the Riker maneuver, if you want to call it that, where he's like, why don't we just tractor
I
beam
think that's the new
an
Riker maneuver.
asteroid?
Yeah.
And they throw this asteroid at this Shrike, which I was like, sure.
They do a lot of throwing things that they're not supposed to be throwing in this season,
Well,
don't they?
she threw a ship at them, so might as well
Yeah.
throw it back.
This was apropos then. Yeah, but we
Space
see
catch.
that like doesn't destroy her, it just kind of.
It would have been great if she's like, "Who throws an asteroid?" Honestly,
Honestly.
Right,
who throws a
Riker's just like-
shoe?
and I think Beverly, did you just throw an asteroid? He's like, I damn right, well I did.
What
you
is
know?
with the shit grin on Jack's face though? Like every scene has him with a shit grin on it now, and it's
I
like,
think that Dave probably just pulled those just on purpose.
you think Dave just pulled those on purpose?
That's what he does. That's what he's always doing.
Yeah, he's always got that shit
so-
grin going on.
Anyway, yeah, they're like, we're hemorrhaging power. So
We're
we see she's not
hemorrhaging
dying,
power.
but that we get from the bird people in their subtitles that that's not going well for them. That they're gonna have.
I
to
mean,
lick
they're
their wounds.
clearly got to be like changelings too, right? Like,
No, I don't think
why
they
do they-
are.
Why do they talk like birds? Maybe they're Jem'Hadars. But
That's
But
a
there it
theory.
is, right there. We need at least an hour to get the core back online. They're not done.
they're not done. We'll see her again. Yeah, they're
Oh,
not,
she'll
they're
be in the
not-
next episode.
probably. So then Shaw and Seven come to the bridge. And
No, she'll be an episode behind. That's why she's got an hour.
and then they
okay.
get this whole moment where the babies are being born, guys. And it was we got
Space jellyfish.
space squids Squid
Again?
game.
At least they're not holding hands this time.
Yeah,
Very
well,
cute eyeballs for some
I-
particular reason.
This was a kind of a nice moment, I guess. Although it was like,
It was very TNG exploring
Seek
new
out
life,
new
and
life.
new civilizations.
See,
and,
it was like, getting back, and we see kind of what they look like. They look like they have mouths and eyes.
They
you know
look
what?
like
I
jellyfish.
would have liked these if they didn't have the clearly like Disney cartoon eyes. Maybe give them pupils, something like
They're
I don't know.
babies.
I
All
know, but,
babies
like, the
have
pu-
big eyes.
They're meant to
Sure,
look cute.
no,
They're meant
they
to
can
look
be.
cute, but-
They can meant to be look cute, but like they could have been looking cute with not round pupils. Like give them like shrimp eye pupils, or maybe some goat pupils, or something. Make it
Goat
alienish.
The slits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. You know,
Yeah, they were
Could've
like
been weird.
they were meant to just go ooh like the rest of them are, and it's all good. They kind of they it's almost like a bonding moment. For
I
the-
think this is a
crew.
missed opportunity. I think that what we should have saw is them start attaching to the hull and like sucking on them and stuff.
If they like, we have a new problem.
Yeah,
they're
now we have
trying to-
another goddamn like, and then you
We
just have
soured the milk.
yeah.
Or
and
no,
Riker's just like, seriously, how many problems can we have in one day?
I think the real missed opportunity is the fact that this wasn't the birth of a Q, and we just got back John DeLance.
Oh, that would have been cool.
they go to warp. They get out of there, and things are going well. And this is where like everyone's hugging, and like the only family I ever knew was Starfleet. And this is where Picard's looking at Jack, and I guess Picard figures out that he's seen Jack before. You know, like when he was telling all those officers that story, and Jack did come try to find him. Or whatever, I guess, or try to like kind of stalked him softly. This was 5 years ago, so Jack was, if we
Got,
believe
like
Jack
any
is
family outside of work, Dad? Any
I think
any family?
any
No.
family, you know.
No, Starfleet's the only family I need.
Well, what about his nephew Renee? What about his brother? You know,
Renee died in a fire.
well, but they were his family. Like,
They're not
so-
anymore. They're charcoal.
Well, I don't like. And we're led to believe that this
family.
35-year-old man is like what, 18
Actually,
at best here.
One thing I did
Um,
learn today, actually, about this episode is, well, not this episode in particular, but talking about actually that scene in Generations. One of the guys that played his kid was actually the changeling in the previous episode.
Oh, really?
You know that other changeling? Yeah, it was the same guy.
Oh,
he played-
when he was like,
He played
"Hello,
Picard's
Papa."
kid in the Hello, Papa.
Hello,
yeah.
Papa. I love the doll, Papa.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, so it actually was
beautiful.
the same actor. He's just obviously grown up now.
right.
So
But so and of course he didn't recognize him. He had a baseball hat, guys. How could he?
Obviously, that does it
Dude,
right
it's
there.
That's the Chris Evans Captain America. I can hide
That's
in
a
public.
disguise.
trick.
That, like,
everybody
superheroes
knows that
use that disguise,
Yeah,
right?
everybody knows that disguise.
That's
works.
that's the Clark Kent maneuver right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Picard figures this out here. He's like, and then he was gone. Then Jack walked away. But I don't know. Isn't that just kind of unfortunate that Picard said that? At that particular
Well,
moment?
it's supposed to put Jack back into reality that, you know, this guy really isn't your dad in that sense, right?
His love isn't Starfleet. He'll never love me. You know,
Yeah, he'll never love me like he loves Starfleet.
My
It's
mom
like,
was
okay,
right.
One, yes, but also two, you caught him in a moment when he's trying to entertain a small crowd of kids, and he just wants to eat his goddamn fish and chips for a minute. So
Well,
he's gonna be
and it was a bunch of
slightly
Starfleet
dismissive.
officers. He was like, he
Yeah,
wanted
and
them to,
exactly.
he wanted them to
He's
feel good.
Starfleet
He didn't.
officers.
He
Not
didn't
only that,
expect his,
who
like,
wants cold fish and chips, man? That's gross.
he didn't expect his like long lost son that he didn't know about to like walk in and ask him about the finer points of morality at that particular moment. But
That's
Tell
true.
me, listen, you've been talking about your business career. Tell me more about your personal life as I sit here with my stalker hat on the bar, 30 feet behind everybody else.
right, yeah, it was kind of it was odd. All right, final couple scenes here. We got Riker talking to Deanna, you know, and Riker kind of explaining that this experience has changed him. The seeing these space babies born had an effect on him. That he's starting to deal with his issues around the death of their son. And
The universe
Deanna
is
sounds-
beautiful and full of life. I haven't heard you talk like that since our son was put in a grave.
Yeah, which was what, like 3 years ago, 2 years ago,
More than
think.
that, yeah.
At this point. And yeah, so she's like, "Are you and Jean-Luc in trouble?" I don't know
Listen,
yet.
Oh, they're in
problem.
trouble.
Okay, here's my problem with
They're
this
always in
scene
trouble.
is they're just all like, you know, you haven't talked like that. You haven't been happy since our son's been dead. But we literally saw him in the first season making pizza and being jovial with his wife and his daughter.
no,
And they
that
talked
wasn't the-
about their dead son, but
Yep.
they were like pretty much over it and accepted the fact that he died. And they were living their life and they seemed pretty keen about it.
I thought
So
the
it
issue was that was as described is that he hadn't shown emotion around it, and she needs to feel emotion. She needs to see him grieving, and I don't think that happened.
Like, I think that maybe I don't know if they were going for that in that particular episode in season 1, but I think that maybe the idea is that when Picard showed up, then he was like, "Oh, it's you. Okay, great." And then he kind of was able to use that as a distraction, because we see that it's not that he doesn't have any emotion. He was able to talk to Jack Crusher last episode in a somewhat emotional way, but he can't deal with some, I guess, of his deeper pains and issues, like the traumas. He pushes all that down in a way. And compartmentalizes it, and so he's starting to open up finally, even though I don't think we're always seeing that when we just see Riker and Picard. But I guess if we had seen that episode with back in season 1, if we'd seen like Riker and Deanna Troi living for even a day, you know, before Picard shows up, it'd be interesting to see if it would have been different. Maybe
He had
not
a
though.
sweet ass
Yeah.
pizza oven, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Who isn't
that's
gonna
what
be
I'm
happy
saying.
about
It's like
that?
the dialogue so far in this season regarding Riker and Diana and all that stuff. It just makes it seem like it's far more bleak and he's far more separated from the family than what we saw literally 2 seasons ago, where he's fucking Mamma Mia pizza guy all of a sudden. You know?
Nepente
It's like
pizza.
yeah,
And then he
like
came in
he's
at the end, right? So yeah, we're gonna see if we get any more of that. All right, and so the ship's
I
warping-
personally hope we don't get any more of that, and I hope that, you know, like, okay, that's
actually
it.
no,
He's just gonna be
maybe I would be okay
nice
if that's
Riker
it too.
Yeah.
So far we've seen Worf, Deanna, Riker, Beverly, Seven, Picard.
No,
So we
Jordy
still
yet.
need to see Jody yet, and we still need to see
lore.
Lore, Brent Spiner in some form, I guess.
yeah.
And whatever he's going to be this week.
Yeah.
And then
And you
Andoria.
said that what's her name?
Denise
Tasha-
Crosby
Denise Crosby coming back? Okay.
She's
in some
supposed to
form.
be
She's
in
gonna
it.
be in this season. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna
Um,
see her as Sela.
She
or
might be
something.
Sela. She might be another Tashiar. We don't know. So.
Oh, I was just joking about that, but okay.
No, she's coming. And
No,
I think
she is
the
coming,
fact
yeah.
I think the fact that we've
Wesley's
seen
the one that really needs to show up. And
Well,
Dan's not gonna show up.
there's rumors that he let it slip that he may have been on the lot. So
Yeah, he
Okay.
like there. I need some.
I think you're gonna get a
something-
cameo appearance
I
by
need
him. He's gonna
something.
show up for something.
Guys,
you gotta
we-
remember he was in Nemesis and got cut out.
Guys, we need to
Like-
talk about this ending here with this episode. What's going on with Jack's red vine things that are coming through?
Okay, here's my theory behind all of this. You remember that TNG episode in season 1 where Buddy's like, "I'm dreaming of a woman," and that woman's dreaming of the guy, and then he ends up taking that dude who was like the psycho dude from Heroes to the planet, and he lives his life with the girl or whatever. I think we're getting something similar like that, where Jack is having these like mental, twisty brain images where he needs to meet up with some woman that's going to connect ultimately the changelings and the Dominion to the Federation in some like elaborate manner, and he's the connecting tissue in that way.
What is going on with Jack's necklace? What is this necklace? What is this meant to be? It looks like he's like wearing like a saint, like he's a religious guy or something.
What if he's actually a changeling himself, though?
He doesn't know it?
Yeah, or something to that.
What's up at the door? What does the door opening represent?
The only other door we got was in Picard with his mom.
Oh yeah.
Mental.
I don't know.
gateway.
Any theories, Adam? What's going on with Jack? No.
No, I leave it to theories to you guys and see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm not
it
totally
has
sure.
something to do with
Yeah,
the
but all right.
changelings.
We
Like,
need to
in-
hear
in
from
some
Davan on
manner.
this one because he'll tell us.
Oh yeah. Davin's usually the theory. Saying, listen.
He's
Okay,
connected
well-
to the changeling mind hive somehow.
All right.
You
Well,
know.
guys, it took us an hour and 20 to really kind of break down this episode.
It's because we were
Um,
trying to figure out what we could see.
Yeah.
We were trying to figure out the lighting issues and how we could turn the lights on, and we needed an old
We
grease
missed the
monkey
carpet.
to get behind the wires, but they're still looking for it. It's
All right,
probably stuck in
let's
Metalis
rate this
57.
episode. Davin already gave it a 10. He thought it was a great episode.
Of course.
Yeah.
I don't know about a 10.
Okay. Well, I like this more than last week's episode, so I think I'm feeling pretty good about it. I think I'm going 9, guys. Jody.
Come back to me.
Adam.
8.5.
8.5. And Murphy.
I'm gonna give it a 6.5. Honestly, it wasn't super great for me. There was really only 2 good scenes in it that I was like, yeah, that's awesome. This
Yeah,
makes
see,
me
this
feel it,
is
but
the
it
problem
didn't-
that I have as well. I'm kind of with Murphy on this.
Well, when
It
you
didn't
started,
tie
when you
together.
started with, I didn't know where they were going. I go, oh boy.
Yeah.
right. Well, like
I'm gonna do an 8.
it just didn't feel like they had like there was no urgency to the what are they going for? It didn't really quite land on what they were going for in the episode until probably the first 15 minutes, and then it's like, oh, okay, and then it took them.
The cohesion
I
was
don't
the issue here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was more just like with the canon thing. I was like, what do you mean these nacelles are 20 years old? That's why I took a point off.
That's the big issue for you.
Okay, so we're averaging an 8.4 between the 5 of us who have voted here. This has currently an IMDb rating of 9.3 at this hour with 376 votes.
Yeah, this is only day one though.
Day one.
Kevin's never coming back.
As we
He's still
mentioned,
pissed about
Breaks
Jackson.
directed this
That's
one.
right,
Cards, son.
exactly.
Kevin's like, I'm done.
It's like I'm over the show.
No, he's
He's
not.
still
I
watching-
asked him. I
He's
asked
still
him. He's not
watching
done.
it.
He's still
yeah,
watching.
when we were curling with him, he said he was good. He was still watching it.
So, guys, the next 2 episodes are going to be directed by Dan Liu, and the next one is called Imposter. As we alluded to, that's probably got to be a changeling related
Has
thing.
Metalis like written all the episodes for this?
No, he hasn't written all of them. He wrote the first episode by himself, and he wrote this episode with Sean Tretta,
Yeah, and he's doing the last episode, I think, too.
and he's doing the last
Yeah.
episode, which he's also directing.
So maybe just maybe in the next few episodes we won't get a planet with Metalis
By the
in
way,
name.
By the way, the whole Planet Metalis thing, that's been around for a lot longer than we realize.
Well, yeah,
Because
he's a
in
production
Enterprise,
member.
it was in Enterprise as well.
But Metalis was
Yeah, he was like
was
a
a writer on
production member.
Enterprise.
Yeah, he
No,
was, like,
but
production
yeah,
manager.
but what I'm saying is like this isn't new to just this series.
No, yeah, but like his name's been associated.
But it being
with
shown
it
on
since
screen
TNG.
is
Yeah, there's a lot more Metalis in this season than there was ever in TNG.
even Jack tells Picard, he's like, "You ever been to Metalis Prime? Nasty place, you know." Even,
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
Metalis
like,
Prime
Metalis
is
Prime,
mentioned
and-
in Enterprise. So-
Well, yeah, well, they mentioned like Metalis 4 in this episode too, and I'm like, how many Metalis planets are there? Come on.
Well, apparently this had nothing to do with Metalis. Actually, it was more along the lines of that this was like a joke that the writers put in. So he actually had no part of it, apparently, according to
like
the
the
thing that
original
I saw.
TNG thing. Like the
No,
original TNG
no,
Metalis?
all the Metalis planet stuff in this series had nothing to do with him. They put it in as a joke.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, I think we're going to sign off. I think we've said everything we can about this particular story. You know, I think the season's going pretty good so far. I'm
enjoying it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to next episode.
Where is this heading?
Hopefully, they really open up the nacelles, if you will, and get riding with this.
Maybe now that they got the
remaining
power,
6
they can turn on the
episodes.
lights.
Yeah,
Maybe.
maybe they can get close to a sun or something. You know, maybe they can. I don't know. Show us the decor.
We'll find out that the floors are purple. Yeah. Be like, wait, it's all purple?
Just
Gold
shag
accents. Shag carpeting. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we can. So yeah, as we mentioned, 8.4 is our rating tonight. We liked it, but not as much as last episode. And we are going to be back in next week, just collectively. Some of us liked it more than last week, but you and I did, Adam, but the others did not as much. And Davan definitely did. Well, Davan's been giving out. He's given out
He's
3
giving
tens.
tens like crazy. Tens like
He's giving out 10s like candy, but he gave 3 tens and an 8.
Davin's rating scale is 1 to 3 and 8 to 10. That's it. There's no numbers
He's
past
liking
those.
it this much, honestly.
All right, guys. So if you didn't know, here on Live Long and Podcast, we have all kinds of great Star Trek podcasts all the time. Monday nights, we have our ongoing Star Trek Enterprise rewatch. That's with Jody and Adam and Kevin, and Davin's in there sometimes too, and myself. We are into season 3 now. We got what's it? The next episode called like Similitude or something, or Similitude. It's where the trip gets
Similitude,
cloned. So that we'll be doing that next Monday. On Tuesday, we have our next episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine to cover, which is going to be what?
Which, by the way, Monday I'm traveling for work, so I might not be joining you.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna try, but we'll see.
All right. Well, let us know if you can't. Deep Space Nine, we're doing The Reckoning on Tuesday, which is the episode where like the Pa Wraiths and the prophets go at it, where they possess Kira and Jake, and they have like this holy war. Kai Wynn's involved. It's a good episode. So we'll be talking about that next, and then Picard, and then our Star Trek Radio Theater this Saturday night, guys. We're going to be doing Star Trek Lower Decks comic book miniseries, where I'll be playing Dracula. Yes, that's right. This Star Trek story has a Dracula.
Do you have a preview?
I want to suck your blood.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So, and I'll be Shax. We got Jody as Steven Stevens, and we got Adam playing Admiral Chapman. Murphy's gonna be playing the space hippies and some aliens and different characters. Mangrove and a few different characters. We got. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Check that out live 9 p.m. Saturday, March 11th on our Live Long and Podcast channel. You can listen to all that, and we're part of a federation of podcasts, all kinds of great podcasts, including the Murphy's podcast, Hold Up with Davan. They do every second Wednesday where they talk movies. You guys got what the TV movies coming up next?
Yeah, so next coming up Wednesday, we're doing television episodes. Apparently, Davan doesn't think Weird Al Yankovic isn't funny. And I think UHF is one of the greatest films ever.
It is phenomenal. That's a great
films
show.
This time in television, and one of those films is UHF. So I'm making him watch UHF, and I think he's
going to hate that.
He's probably going to hate it,
and
we're going to butt heads because this is one of my all-time out of top 5 films.
It's not a good movie, but it is so much fun.
It's so funny. It's the best. It's fun. It's a classic. And then he chose Stay Tuned from '92. which looks like a UHF ripoff in my opinion, but we'll see. I guess we'll talk about that. And then I picked Goodbye and Good Night, which is basically the McCarthy era telling with like Robert De Niro. It's all black and white. It looks super dramatic. It's a huge shift change in the.
But is anybody going to
so
win a red snapper? That's the question.
it's a great question, you know, and we're going to head down to Spatula City and find out next Wednesday, so you should definitely join us for Hold Up.
Yeah, check out Hold Up coming up. We also have Trivial Debates. Most recently, Eamon Mader hosting a Love Theme edition back on February 26th that Jody was in, along with Davan and Jessica. And check it out. Our next one on April 2nd will be Murphy's going to be hosting a wrestling themed one, a WrestleMania themed episode coming up. Jaemeel and Andre set to compete.
Tentatively, the combatants for that episode are still to be determined.
It still has to be finalized. Yes, it
still has to be finalized, but I am working on the questions. It's going to be a real Royal Rumble of trivial debates, if you will.
If you will, yes, a SummerSlam.
You're just going with the you're just going with these references today, aren't you?
Yeah, I might be tempted to throw myself in as a competitor.
I think,
I only know anything before 2002. Anything after 2002, I'm out. So keep that in mind. KBBBL every Friday with Davan, Baker, and Francis talking about The Simpsons. We also have the Super Mader Brothers podcast right now covering Survivor season 44, as well as Big Brother Canada 11. We were on tonight talking about the new season. I was on with Jaemeel and Foster tonight about Big Brother Canada, and last night about Survivor. So check those out. Plus the Marvel content we do over there. Quantumania, Ant-Man and the Wasp was our most recent review that Dave and I'm Dave, Davan and Jaemeel we're on talking about that.
Yeah. Hold up, I'm Dave.
I'm Dave.
Everybody's
aren't I Dave? And
Everybody's
then X-Rated, the animated review show. That's on Tuesdays with Andre and Davan. Talk about that, the X-Men cartoon. Andre has his Graphics Histories podcast. He's got somebody lined up. I can't remember the name of that person, but he's got an interesting interview coming up pretty soon.
He had our own Michael Chan on his recent episode, if you haven't had a chance to listen.
Michael Chan from the Hellbound podcast, a horror movie podcast he does with Alex Blackburn, comes out on Wednesdays. But Michael Chan also just cast in CBS's pilot, some kind of secret pilot. So
super secret. He's
maybe it's
being so hush hush about it.
Maybe it's the Star Trek Titan. Maybe it's the USS Titan show, and he's going to be a character on the Titan.
He's helmsman.
He's the helmsman. No, but that's LaForge. But maybe he's like the engineer.
Well, he could be like the second helmsman. They don't really
be like
give a lot of
the auxiliary, the night shift guy.
The night shift guy. You know, the one that switches in seats every now and then.
Shifty.
Loving it.
Yeah.
Either way, I think we should do an episode review of Michael Chan's new show when it.
We will on something. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. So check out all that. That's all the great stuff on the United Federation podcast.
What if you don't like it?
Well, then he won't tell him.
That has nothing to do with him, though.
Yeah. All right. And on that note,
he puts his nuts on the fire. We roast.
Yeah. We'll sign off for tonight. Thanks for being with us. Live long and podcast, everybody. And I'll go out on my new favorite quote here.
I need your help, despite the fact that you are indeed a dipshit from Chicago.
See you next time.